Greetings, all ye readers of the unofficial Apple weblog. I am David Chartier, and for SWA podcast number 25, I wanted to highlight Apple's Aperture. Now, for those who've never seen it before, Aperture is a professional photography tool. It is a photo organizer and a basic editor primarily geared at professional photographers. Now, I am by no means a professional photographer, but I am getting a lot more interested in photography as a hobby, and I wanted to highlight some of the features that convinced me to make the upgrade for my photo. Now, Aperture is by no means free. It is a commercial application from Apple. It costs $300 at retail, but there is also a $150 student discount and a demo, of course, available from apple.com/aperture. Now, if you really have never seen Aperture before, but you've at least used iPhoto or something similar, you'll probably notice a fairly standard layout in Aperture. You have your list of projects and albums and folders on the left side here. You have a browser for whatever album you currently have selected, and then you have a photo viewer up at the top here for any image or images you have selected. And we'll get into that a little more later. Now, in terms of storing your images and helping you to kind of manage what is probably an expanding library, Aperture offers a lot of flexibility. You don't need to keep all of your pictures inside Aperture's library on your main hard drive or your laptop's hard drive of your Mac. If you go up to File and Import, let's say you're going to import images from a folder, maybe some old projects or another program that you've used in the past, you get the option to store files either in the Aperture library, or you can keep them in your current location. You can move them to the default pictures folder, or even choose a new location entirely. Now, this offers a lot of flexibility, especially when it comes to pictures that might be on an external hard drive or even on optical media like a CD or a DVD of photos that you've burned in the past. You can still tell Aperture to import those images. It'll create previews of those images that it saves locally, but you can still store those images offline or in their current location, and so you don't fill up your hard drive with too many photos. You can also choose to rename these photos when you import them. You can create a custom name with an index system. You can name them by their version names or just keep the file name from the original files or the camera files that you're importing. So you get a lot of flexibility there as well. You also might have noticed that under this File Import menu, there is also iPhoto Library. And this is pretty much a one-click process for making that upgrade like I just did from iPhoto into Aperture. You get the same options. You can choose to make a copy of all those pictures into the Aperture library. You can choose to leave them in their current location, which Apple has actually demonstrated in one of their own screencasts, but I'm not going to get into here, and I personally don't recommend, because if you start making a lot of different versions of images and saving them to different locations but still using iPhoto with that library, it's going to get messy. Knock yourself out if you want, but I chose to just go the complete Aperture route and not really use iPhoto again. Another really great feature that Aperture offers in terms of helping you back up all of your images, not just to store them, but to make backups of them, is something called vaults. Now, what this basically is the ability to specify, ideally, an external hard drive to which Aperture can store a backup of your entire Aperture library. You can come down to the gear menu here and tell it to add a vault, and it will tell you how many images you have not backed up to this brand new vault yet. Now, this is great because once you choose a location and begin a backup, as you add to your library, Aperture will tell you how many images you already have backed up to your vault and how many you still need to. And this is great because when Aperture makes backups for you, it only backs up the images that you need to. So that saves you a lot of space and a lot of time each time you open up Aperture and want to get to work. Now, that's enough about organizing your files. I want to show you some great features as far as organizing your photos inside of Aperture. One really cool thing that Apple offers here is something called stacks. Now let me find an album here that has a lot of images that might look a little similar, such as the wedding of a friend of mine. Now you'll notice that there are a number of images that might look very similar, such as these shots here of my friends standing outside their wedding ceremony. What a stack allows you to do is select one image and then select a whole range of them. Notice that I now have 5 images selected. I can go up to the Stacks menu and choose Stack. As you can see, these images get an outline drawn around them, and a number is applied to the first one that I selected. There's a number 5 here. If I click that number 5, you can also go up to the Stacks menu and say Open All Stacks or Close All Stacks. You'll see that all those images are now grouped underneath that first image I selected. So this helps you sort of organize your images visually if you have a number of images that you took of the same subject, maybe you were testing lighting, or images that you, for whatever reason, feel are similar and could be stacked and maybe shuffled together to help you keep things organized and maybe keep them out of the way for now. Clicking on that number or going back up to the Stacks menu will roll all of these images out again, and I can start looking at all of them. Maybe I can delete a couple versions and keep my library fairly organized that way. Now, in terms of applying metadata, especially keywords to your Aperture library, Aperture offers a very, very powerful keywords HUD. And this is great because it's a pop-up window, it's a panel that you can place anywhere you want, and not only can you easily apply keywords and organize your keywords with this panel, but you can also list your keywords under families. It's not just one big long list that you have to root through. Your keywords can get organized under families in here, and you can also create keyword sets, which allow you, if you look down here right at the control bar, these keyword sets allow you to apply keyboard shortcuts to each of your keywords, or to a batch of your keywords at once, I should say. And while you're browsing your library, you can click on an image, use one of these keyboard shortcuts, such as Option 1, and apply a keyword to it right away and just keep on browsing and keep on moving through your library. It's about the fastest way that I've ever seen to apply keyword data to your images. And over here is the menu where you can choose your different keyword sets and bring up a panel that allows you to build your sets, drag and drop keywords into different sets, and really help you keep even your keywords organized along with your photos. Now, in terms of browsing through your library and looking at images and even comparing more than one image to each other, Aperture also offers some really powerful view modes. If you come down here to the view mode menu, there are 5 options. And one of my favorites is an option called 3 up, which basically means that whenever you select an image, you'll also see the image that is listed both to the left and to the right of that image in the library. You'll notice I have this image selected here, and we also are viewing that image and that image on either side of it. If I click to the right, all these images move over one, and now I am viewing the image to the left and to the right of the image that I have selected. This is a great way for you to quickly compare images, maybe browse through your library, looking at images in a larger version and more than one at a time. Back down to this view menu again, there's another great mode called Compare, which allows you to select 2 images, and one of them has an orange bounding box around it that you can see both in the viewer and in the image browser. What this allows you to do is to select an image as a primary, which gets this orange bounding box, and then you can keep clicking around in your album to view images and compare them against that primary image. If you end up liking a specific image, you can hit enter, and it now becomes that primary image, and you can keep clicking around in your library to keep comparing images and possibly find one that you like a little better. So there's a lot of real flexibility in how you view your images, how you compare them, and which ones you select and organize and even choose to delete.